Well, as we have known for quite a while now, we are expecting a new article from Empire magazine to release basically today, May 8th. But thankfully, they have been so kind and so generous to go ahead and also post it online for those who don't really want a physical copy and are also just everywhere else in the world who can't really get their copy on time. Either way, we're going to be discussing and breaking down every single important detail that we got from this article, all of the new images that we got, and a lot of it's very interesting. There are some things they may have got wrong, there are some retcons to talk about, but overall, a lot of this looks very, very good. So we're going to get into it, we're going to discuss everything because piece by piece, there's a lot of things that, describe some scenes in this movie that sound really, really good, and I'm really excited to just get into it and discuss with you guys. But before we do that, the best way to support our content creation efforts here on YouTube is going over to our merch store and checking out the new Rebirth inspired merch. I am of course wearing my Swerve Rex merch right now, which you can also get on the merch store, but there's loads of Rebirth themed merchandise on there as well. Get ready for the movie by purchasing yours. But without any further ado, make sure you're subscribed, liked and all of that good stuff. We're going to get into discussing this new article for Jurassic World Rebirth. Now jumping straight into it, one of the very first things that we get from Empire magazine is that in late September 2024, a few hours after sunset, the Empire team has joined the actors on the back lot of Sky Studios in Elstree, where Jurassic World Rebirth is rounding off a full pelt summer-long shoot. And they go on to describe the sense of familiarity from the first movie with tall wired fences or danger 10,000 volts, which is also something we saw in the trailer for this movie. They discuss the presence of an electric Jeep, but it has a new paint job that bears the classic Rex skeleton logo, which does confuse me considering all of the information we're going to be talking about later in the video. But Empire magazine say that they basically got a first-hand look of what they were checking out for Jurassic World Rebirth, and I believe they also did the same thing for the Fantastic Four when it was first shooting as well. So I think that they actually got to see at least one of the scenes from the movie being filmed out. But skipping over some extracts where they just say that all of these characters are grimed up, sweaty and soaked in water basically, they go ahead and do confirm that the island that we are visiting in Jurassic World Rebirth is an Atlantic island. Some people, despite us even hearing in the trailer that we're going north of Barbados, for some reason people were still speculating that this island was in the Pacific and could still be Site B, but as we know, that's in the Pacific Ocean. This island is now quoted to be in the Atlantic island, so that's definitely confirmed. But not only that, they continue to say that the Atlantic island, they stand frozen in fear on the forecourt of a long abandoned gas station as the Velociraptors approach. Or rather, the Raptors' stand-ins, a pair of performers stalking forwards in black bodysuits, their heads bobbing beneath long-snouted helmets detailed with the deadly predator's distinctive features, something that we do know that they did for the Velociraptors in the original Jurassic World. Rupert Friend's character points his pistol at them, they pause, spooked, then back away, disappearing into the misty night. "Yeah, you better run," Friend yells, but Bailey cautions him, saying, "No, that wasn't the gun." He says, it was something else. And considering that the description of this scene is that they're in a misty night, we also get to see a misty night in the trailer just before the reveal of the Distortus Rex. So what I think is happening here is that this may be the very first time they come across the Distortus Rex. They see it and they realize that, hold on, if these deadly dinosaurs such as a Velociraptor are terrified of it, which we know Velociraptors are happy to take on anything in the franchise, then surely this creature must be terrifying. So I think something is going on here. I think they see the Velociraptors, there's a sense of fear, and we get to see that in the trailer where I think Dr. Henry Loomis and David Iacono's character was discussing, are those raptors? Please don't say those are raptors. And then after that, the raptors disappear and the Distortus shows up, which honestly sounds really, really good. And then Gareth Edwards goes on to quote that it's really a horror film. That's great news, but show us. Come on Universal, you need to release that second trailer so that we can see that it is a horror film. The first trailer didn't really give that vibe. What's also on this page, right at the very bottom, we get another behind the scenes look at Gareth Edwards filming one of the scenes for Jurassic World Rebirth. And of course this is one of the long grass scenes, so it's something we've seen plentiful in the last few months. But we also get a new image on the other side of the page with Zora Bennett and Henry Loomis dangling off the side of Duncan's ship, which honestly actually looks really, really cool. This seems to be some kind of thing that a stunt double should be doing, but given the fact that it's filmed the way it's filmed, Scarlett Johansson actually had to dangle off the ship looking exactly like this. So it looks great, it looks very well put together, and it actually looks like they're in a lot of danger unless she's trying to shoot that weapon, which we believe has the DNA canisters, and get the Mosasaurus from it from a different angle. But either way, this action sequence looks really, really good. I'm all for action in this franchise. But the page after reveals a very cool looking shot. This showcases the shot where we believe is the amber mines. It's definitely a mine of some sort, but considering, they're playing with nature and dinosaurs and the Jurassic franchise, we kind of know that this is going to be about probably amber. So within this shot, we actually finally get to see some characters in this scene, where Duncan, Martin Krebs, and Zora Bennett all arrive to this danger 10,000 volts scene. And once again, that case, very important, has all of the DNA within those. But within this extract of this page, it basically goes on to say how Frank Marshall, the executive producer, went on and found Gareth Edwards and the story behind all of that, but you can go ahead and read that for yourself, as the second part of this extract actually has some more concerning yet very interesting details as well. So of course we know that Rebirth looks back to the original film, whilst it also leaps forward into a new decade for the franchise, and of course some brand new characters. But they go ahead and reiterate, this time saying, the plot of Jurassic World Rebirth picks up 5 years after Jurassic World Dominion, when dinosaurs have struggled to survive in most human-habited environments and regressed to the equatorial regions. Now of course this is something that we did know prior to the first trailer for Jurassic World Rebirth, and it's something that made a lot of us very confused because, as we know, Jurassic World Dominion confirmed that these dinosaurs are thriving, they're doing fine. We also know that a lot of them can handle the environments, they're endothermic, they can control their body temperatures. Whether you're up north or in the south or even on the equatorial line, these dinosaurs are fine to survive. So we're wondering what exactly happened here. But now it seems like the words have been twisted ever so slightly here, because they now say dinosaurs have struggled to survive in most human-habited environments and regressed to the equatorial regions. So that actually adds more to the theory that actually these dinosaurs are doing fine, but it's the humans that are causing these dinosaurs to regress somewhere else. And we speculated that in a video that the governments don't like these dinosaurs here and they're unofficially sending out poachers to kill them off. And now that they're saying human habited environments makes a lot more sense to this whole plot idea. But they also go ahead and say most, so not all of them. And of course we know that there is a scene out there where they are cleansing the street from supposedly a dinosaur encounter. So we do know dinosaurs and humans are still trying to coexist, but it seems like the humans are actually winning this battle. But continuing on, they do confirm once again something that we already knew, that there is a connection between Dr. Henry Loomis and Dr. Alan Grant in the movie. We did speculate about it in another video, but we're just going to have to wait to see what exactly that connection is. But the very next thing is very interesting. The whole point, says Frank Marshall, was to start a new era of Jurassic World. We really wanted to reinvigorate the franchise. The clue is in the title, Jurassic World Rebirth. That quote right there actually gets me a little bit more excited. As we know, Gareth Edwards did say that Jurassic World Rebirth feels like the start of a brand new trilogy. And then Frank Marshall says they wanted to start a new era of Jurassic World, indicating, or implying shall I say, that Jurassic World Rebirth is the very first one of this new era, meaning maybe more movies to come. And we will talk about that later in the video, because there's also information about maybe a sequel to Jurassic World Rebirth. But split amongst these next two pages, we do get a brand new image of the Mosasaurus jumping over the boat, or Duncan's boat as we have confirmed here, which is also called the Essex. Now I think the image is quite hard to find because the pages are split up, but I think there was somebody who posted it on Twitter, so hopefully my editing skills are good enough to show you the image on screen right now. But yes, the Mosasaurus does kind of leap over in the same way that we kind of almost got for Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom in one of the deleted scenes. But for the second part of this page, they talk about the nostalgia of the movie, they didn't want it too heavy, and how Scarlett Johansson wanted to be part of the movie, yada yada yada. All of those details that we've already covered in previous videos. But on the top of the page, we also get an extract called Unleash the Beasts, and they talk about the Tyrannosaurus Rex in this extract. They don't really discuss too much that we didn't already know, or too many interesting details, but they do go on to say that this Tyrannosaurus Rex is a different breed of Tyrannosaur than what we have seen previously. Unlike Rexy from Jurassic Park and the previous World Trilogy, it is bigger, beefier, and surlier. Which they do later come on to confirm that was kind of Gareth Edwards' idea, to make this Tyrannosaurus a little bit bigger. And again, this is something we speculated in another previous video. These dinosaurs all seem to have like a bigger face, a bigger lump on their face. they seem a bit beefier, and that might be because of this weird thing going on with the Distortus Rex with the big bulge on its head. That's a very interesting video, probably one of my favorite theory videos for Jurassic World Rebirth so far, so I highly recommend going to check that one out because it has a lot of interesting ideas about all of this. The next page actually does reveal a new image with Mahershala Ali's Duncan Kincaid seemingly protecting one of the younger members of the Delgado family, and I believe the only kid in the movie as well. Now, judging by the background and the clothing, it seems to be taken from the same scene in the trailer where the Distortus Rex shows up. And of course they are looking upwards, so I think it is very much that scene. But in this extract, there's a lot of, let's say, things that they may have got wrong that I just want to clarify to you guys, because I'm sure you're going to go ahead and read this extract for yourselves, and you might think, oh my goodness, did they really mean what they said? So let's clarify some details. So in this extract, they talk about how they spoke to the VFX supervisor and ILM's local team, and within this extract they do say, set out in the Atlantic Ocean, it sees Zora and her crew sailing dangerously close to the Mosasaurus. And then in brackets they go to say, the huge chompy sea monster that, in Jurassic World, gobbled a great white like it was white bait. Now, I know some people might jump the gun here and say, wait, does that mean this is the same Mosasaurus from Jurassic World? No, they're just trying to clarify to people who don't really have a better understanding or as good of an understanding as you and I both do about the Mosasaurus. So it's not the same one from Jurassic World, it's definitely a different one, especially considering its design. But yeah, just wanted to clarify that as well. Furthermore, just a little bit later in the extract, they say that each dinosaur counter has its own vibe and style, kind of like Jurassic World Dominion, says Gareth Edwards, who describes his own dinosaur cast as a greatest hits of new and old. Now, they continue this by saying the new include jet-sized pterosaur, the Quetzalcoatlus. Now, as far as we're aware, the Quetzalcoatlus is not new. It was first introduced in Jurassic World Dominion's short film, The Prologue, and then of course was featured in Jurassic World Dominion. But this Quetzalcoatlus specifically in the movie does look slightly different. I believe I also was supposed to show an image right at the start of the video, but this new image was kind of one of the first images of the pages for this extract for Jurassic World Rebirth on Empire Magazine, and it does show that it is a clear difference between the Jurassic World Rebirth Quetzalcoatlus and now the Jurassic World Dominion Quetzalcoatlus. There's a big difference there between these two. But calling it the new, I don't know if I would say it's new so far. It's one of the newer creatures, sure, but I wouldn't say it's new. And then a little bit further on, they say, and to describe the Aquilops, a cute little Aquilops. Think Triceratops crossed with meerkats. And whilst they're not necessarily wrong, I think we do need to call them out that it does basically look like the Microceratus, a dinosaur, or the first dinosaur that was cloned in the timeline for the Jurassic franchise, and of course a dinosaur that appeared in Jurassic World Dominion. It looks so much like the Microceratus, barely any difference, and a lot of the fans are quite upset about that, so I am going to call him out on that. So I'm not going to say it's a Triceratops crossed with meerkat, because it's not. It's definitely just the Microceratus, just a little bit different. But it does continue to say that it befriends the youngest Delgado, which I assume is the kid that we saw in the previous image. But it says befriends the youngest Delgado. That would imply that this Aquilops was left on this island to rot, which again makes you think, what kind of war crimes did this little dinosaur do to deserve to be left on the worst of the worst dinosaur species on Rebirth Island? But then we assume that she was friends with this Aquilops and took this to the island because it was more like a tour group gone wrong situation. So now to say that it befriends, it's a little bit confusing. But continuing on, they say, then there are mutants. Horrific gene-spliced miscreations cooked up at a now deserted InGen facility 17 years earlier. Now, Kep says that it basically comes from his strange mind and goes on to talk about it and the Jurassic World movies, we'll get into that in just a minute. But they say that it is an InGen facility, so it was owned by InGen, but they also give a timeline here saying 17 years earlier. Now, saying 17 years earlier would put it at 2011 because Jurassic World Rebirth takes place 5 years after Jurassic World Dominion, and as we know, Jurassic World Dominion takes place in November of 2022. So after those events would literally give just 1 month in 2027 and 11 months in 2028. So 17 years earlier would pretty much put that at the date of 2011. Which means that it's during the mock-ups of the Indominus Rex, it's after the Scorpius Rex were made, so it makes you think, how are they going to fit that in with the D-Rex? Because as far as we know, Dr. Wu wouldn't have done anything like that. Masrani would not have known about anything like that, especially after the creation of the Scorpius Rex. But we're gonna have to wait and see what they're cooking up in that lab to describe something like this and to explain it even further. They do try their best to explain it, because David Koepp goes on to say that we saw some of that in the previous Jurassic World movies, that their experiments made dinosaurs bigger, meaner, scarier. And it occurred to me and Steven that those can't all have gone well. This is genetic experimentation. Things are not going to work out sometimes. And unfortunately, that might be a slight retcon, because we do know that things go wrong, but they aren't allowed to live. There's something that I like to call a morality rule, that if a dinosaur doesn't look or feel exactly how it should be, they kill it off to basically stop something like the D-Rex. So it makes me think why the executive producer on the franchise, Steven Spielberg, didn't really know this. But furthermore, also may get me a little bit excited to think that the creation of the D-Rex was another branch of InGen underneath the nose of Masrani and Dr. Wu. These two people didn't know what was actually going on, so it's more secrecy about this movie, which I feel like would be a great twist and plot. Masrani and Dr. Wu didn't know anything was going down on Rebirth Island? I would dig it, I would love that storyline. And then a little bit further, they talk about the Mutadons and how David Koepp had an experience with a bat and said, I need to get that in a movie somehow, so I guess the Mutadons are a little bit more like bats. But then we go on to read that Empire said, now we get why those regular raptors were so alarmed. Which means that maybe the scene with the raptors isn't with the Dostortus Rex, but instead with the Mutadons, and that's why the raptors decide to flee. And again, as we did clarify just a few days ago about Jurassic Park 3 Spinosaurus returning, it's not. But in the extract again it says Jurassic Park 3's fan favourite boss monster, the Spinosaurus, is returning. But as we know, it's not the Spinosaurus from Jurassic Park 3, so please hold your horses, don't get too excited, they're just saying the species of Spinosaurus is returning. The other side of the page shows us a brand new image with Martin Krebs and also Zora Bennett, which seem to be just hiding away from a creature of some kind, and I presume probably either a Mutadon or maybe even a Velociraptor, judging by the way that they're hiding, underneath a vehicle and by the side of a vehicle. But they are in fear of something, that's for certain. But we get this brand new up-to-date Jeep that we've also seen for a while, and of course the case is with Martin once again. But besides that, there's not really too many interesting details to discuss on this page. Same goes for the next one. I didn't really highlight anything too important in this, but if you guys want to read a little bit more, here's the page on screen. You can pause the video now and read it. But again, to me, I don't feel like there's much going on in this sequence. They just talk about the filming of the movie. But then on the flip side of the page, continuing that extract, we do have a decent amount to talk about just before the end of this article. Ignoring the top bit, which we will get to in just a minute, the bottom part of this page is where it gets interesting. They decide to discuss the possibility of David Koepp also returning for a sequel to Jurassic World Rebirth. And the bit that I've highlighted here says, though whether we'll be rejoining Zora's gang, at least the ones who remain unmacetated by Mutadons, or meeting a whole new crew remains unclear. Now that doesn't confirm, but implies that the Mutadons will attack the crew, and maybe some people might die from it. But continuing on, Frank Marshall says, we're keeping both of those ideas in play. Let's say it that way. That alone says to me that they are thinking of something for a sequel to Jurassic World Rebirth. And of course, with the quote of Gareth Edwards saying that Jurassic World Rebirth feels like the start of a new trilogy, I think it's safe to say, unless Jurassic World Rebirth absolutely bombs at the box office, which isn't expected at all, that a sequel to this movie will be happening and Jurassic 8 is going to come about. But Frank Marshall continues to say, but it's such a wonderful cast. I hope we can figure out what to do next with them. And Empire adds to that, saying Edwards hasn't been involved in any Rebirth 2 talks, which is followed by a quote by Gareth Edwards, I haven't heard a single comment from anyone about sequels, but I'm a great believer in just trying to make a great film and the rest will take care of itself. It feels like a blank canvas ahead. So at least there is the idea of a sequel to Jurassic World Rebirth. And I think pairing up everything, it makes a lot of sense. Frank Marshall was very vague with his comments about Jurassic World Rebirth when it was first confirmed back in 2019 that they have the idea of making another movie after Jurassic World Dominion. And then of course I think it was later reconfirmed in 2020 and then reconfirmed again in 2022 I believe that another movie after Dominion is happening, and of course that is Jurassic World Rebirth. So kind of basing it off previous patterns, the way they talk and things we've already heard, it's safe to say that I'm probably on the 70% mark that a next movie is happening after Rebirth. But again, we have to wait to see how it does at the box office. So go ahead, go support it, watch it as many times as possible, get it to at least hit that 1 billion mark. We have to. It has to do better than Jurassic World Dominion. But moving on to one of the final texts of this Empire magazine is more specifically discussing the Unleash the Beasts, the D-Rex, talking a little bit more about it. There are 3 things I do want to talk about here, but the rest of it you can read for yourself. The final scene Gareth Edwards plays for Empire in the Rebirth edit suite is actually the film's opening scene, which of course we then get later confirmed is this one in the trailer with the red D-Rex, which we did notice is considerably smaller than the one we see later in the trailer, so we did suspect that it was some kind of flashback sequence. And they do confirm that it is set 17 years ago, which again we've put it at 2011. But that also means that this D-Rex was presumably born in 2010 or maybe even 2009, which is the same year the Scorpius Rex was made, adding even more to the theory that Dr. Wu had no idea that the D-Rex was being created, nor did Masrani. Of course, we know that Masrani ordered Dr. Wu to completely destroy the Scorpius Rex, so he knows that these abominations can be born. He would absolutely not let anything like the D-Rex come to light. So I think something fishy is going on here. But in a nice little Camp Cretaceous Easter egg, since we do know it's around the same era that the Scorpius Rex was put into cryogenic freeze, it does confirm that we do get the shadiest glimpses of the D-Rex at the start of the movie, but it said that it was swathed in dry ice, which of course, as we know, is similar ice that was used for the Scorpius Rex when it was put into cryogenic freeze. So we can kind of assume that it is a Camp Cretaceous Easter egg. But other than that, I believe that's everything from the article. Now we have discussed a lot in this video. I think I rambled a bit too long, but hopefully that was enough to kind of discuss and talk about, and there's a lot of interesting details in there that I want to point out and discuss in a separate video, a more solo video. But I want to get this video out as soon as possible because all of the information came out when it was like 4 AM, 3 AM my time, so of course I was asleep. The one night I decided to go sleep early, of course. But either way, we have new details, we have new information, and a lot more videos will be coming from me in the future. I do want to apologize for the lack of content lately. If you've been following on my post section, there's a reason for that and hopefully you can understand. But either way, I'm excited to get back into making content. There's a lot now, and that trailer should hopefully, I'm worried it's coming today, but it should hopefully come relatively soon. This week, next week, who knows at this point. We're just gonna have to sit and wait like I've been doing every single day for the last 2 weeks. I've been sat here waiting for the next full hour and then nothing happens. But if you enjoyed today's video, feel free to press that like button, subscribe if you are new around here, as we do aim for 300,000 subscribers by the end of the year, and of course check out the merch store where we have loads of Rebirth themed items there for you guys to enjoy. But most importantly, make sure you're all staying safe out there, and I'll see you all in the next one. Bye bye. Hey, did you enjoy the video? Well, why not leave a like and subscribe for more Jurassic content? I appreciate every single one of you for reaching this point into the video and supporting me this far. If you wish to support me even further, then feel free to head on down to the description where you can find links to donate, my Patreon, and you can also press that join button to become a member here on YouTube and gain access to some awesome emojis. A massive thank you to all of the YouTube members for this month, as well as the amazing fans over on Patreon too. Your extra bit of support really goes a long way. But for now, I wish you a great rest of your day.